Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the last dance of the virtual Formula Universe Formula One 1996 season, live here from the sunny hills of Japan in Suzuka. We just got done with qualifying Salvatore Sirignano setting the pole time. We're switching over into warm up, and the drivers are going to get their briefing, and we're going to get the action underway very, very shortly. Uh, it is finally here, the end of a long and arduous 1996 campaign. We have Benetton as constructors champions, and Lewis Wedding will crown himself as a third World Drivers' Championship in Suzuka. Or, excuse me, a third World Drivers' Champion, not championship, here in Suzuka. But can he top it off with a win? It would be nice for him to top it off with a win. You have some cars, you have some cars about to head out on track to do their fuel race trim testing. All is quiet for now in the garages of Suzuka. So there's quite a lot to talk about because there's still a constructors' war going on, as far as I'm concerned. Let me bring up the notes. Right, so there is indeed a constructors' war going on to pick up the scraps. Ferrari versus Williams. Ferrari on 55 points. Williams on 47 points with 2 wins. Ferrari needs to score 9 points, and they will need to beat Williams no matter what. They need to do this by finishing first, or P2 to P4. And Williams need to outscore Ferrari by 8 points. They'll win on countback regardless of income. They need at least one driver in the top two, either P1 and any other position, or P2 and their teammate a minimum P5. If they don't score this, they cannot beat Ferrari. If they do score this, it depends on how Ferrari scores. Meanwhile, down in the lower dregs of the Constructors' Wars, McLaren versus Jordan. Jordan with 29 points and 1 P2 to their name. McLaren with 28 points and 6 P3s to their name. McLaren must outscore Jordan by 2 points unless they score a P1 or P2, then they would need to win on countback by only outscoring by 1 point. They would need at least one driver above P5 to have a chance, and Jordan must not be outscored by more than 1 point. If McLaren finishes better than P2, they must match McLaren's points for the weekends. So, a lot of interesting stuff, apart from the World Drivers' Championship, which has been wrapped up as of about maybe 3 rounds ago, 3 or 4 rounds ago. So, lots to discuss and worry about during the race. There goes Tina Curtis on her lap for warm-up, setting a brisk 142.894. Now, a moment as I will switch over to our commentary graphic set, our usual classic set. Bear with me a moment. And we're back. I've been informed that I will have a co-commentary staff on the way, I believe, for tonight's racing, which I am overjoyed to be informed of. A little bit of a James Hunt Murray Walker duo. I will be joined by Jacob Metcalf tonight, a former VFU driver. So, a little bit of extra surprise on top for the last dance, the last race. So, we're looking at Bivona, Ferrari number one. I believe we'll go over the qualifying results on the formation lap, but I believe that the Ferraris have locked out first and second for this Grand Prix. Salvatore Sirignano taking pole, if I'm not mistaken. Oh, he's not loaded in quite just yet. I think he came back late. We'll just exit back to the monitor. There he is. And he's brought out, they finally put him in his new paint for the for his Grand Prix. Now as an official Ferrari driver. It looks very Alain Prost-esque to me. Very nice. I like it quite a lot. Or maybe Jean Alesi-esque more. Wedding, you're our world drivers champion. If I can get the camera, there he is. Very cinematic look. Just chilling before the Grand Prix. Not much for him to race for. He's also done an update to his helmet for this round. A very new design. Usually he had a Villeneuve type of look, but he's gone for something very different, Schumacher-esque. He is leaving Benetton at the end of this season, so this is his last race for Benetton and his second title for Benetton. So I wonder how Benetton will pick up the pieces at the end of at the beginning of the new season. As you can see on the helmet, Grazie Benetton from Lewis Wedding. And he's got a brilliant, lovely rainbow chrome visor. Let's have a look at more other designs. Karol Ostrolek going with the Martin Brundle look. There's Owen Potter in his lovely blue and yellow sporting look. Tina Curtis, sponsored by a couple of brilliant Japanese gaming company, Atlas, and the band Metallica, so that's very cool. Hopefully she'll be a master of puppets today and manage to get a win. Nick Holliday, simple but black and clean and lovely. Looks like a lot like the Danny Ongay in helmet. And then we've seen Bivona, of course. And that's everyone, I think, for tonight. So I've received word that we will be going green or to the formation lap very soon. I'll be looking forward to seeing how this Grand Prix works out. We had a lot of action last time in Estoril with Bivona, three-way fighting with Wedding and Salvatore, and even Karol Ostrolek was there in the mix. There was a lot of drama in the pit with the pit cycle, almost a teammate collision between the Ferraris at some point. Salvatore got a puncture and went straight off, and his race was ended by that. Really sad stuff to see. So, hopefully this Grand Prix is just as dramatic, and I think it'll be even better when my colleague is able to join us in the booth for tonight's festivities. So I will be back in a short moment. I'm going to take a quick break, get water, get sorted, get Jacob with me in the booth, and we will go live for the Grand Prix shortly.
Testing, 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 testing. Swear to hold it up. I can just see myself saying tested on the stream.
Okay, I didn't realize that the capture for your audio was coming through. That's one way to introduce a co-commentary. Uh, say good evening to Jacob Metcalf, a former driver of Virtual Formula Universe, has done 2 years, I think, with Sauber in 1994 and 1995, and with several um, point-scoring finishes. Most notably, his 1994 season was quite a good performance. So I am glad to be joined with him in the booth tonight for this great Japanese Grand Prix.
Well, you've picked me off a bit more than I'm due. 97 was alright, had a good battle with Owen Potter. 94, 95, bit of a crash fest, but you know how it goes. Yeah, to be honest, I just saw the stream pop up and I was like, yeah, go on then. That's a bit of me, see if I can help. What I will ask Matty, do you mind screen sharing, just because there's a stream today?
Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you. And I'll get to the circuit as soon as I can.
Yeah, you kind of just wandered in without a permit and they let you go.
Oh, well, you know how it goes. As famous as me, and it's just easy, isn't it?
And we have a couple of people in the comments tonight for the live stream on the YouTube. We have Ashley Johnson and Alexei Spirichev, who could not make it with us tonight. Alexei Spirichev will be there next season. Right, so we have moved over, I believe. See if we are going to get our lads on track. Yep, there's the siren to push us on. And please do let us know in the YouTube comments if the audio is not quite right in terms of balance. Long wait for getting all the lads on the grid now. There we are. We've moved on over. Graphics are good to go as well. And our cars are heading onto the grid for the formation lap. And the formation lap is now underway for the Japanese Grand Prix. On pole, we have Lewis Wedding from Australia, 1996 World Drivers' Champion, followed by Karol Ostrolek, second place. For Jordan, again, an amazing qualifying. So I was completely wrong. I thought when I was looking at the monitor that the Ferraris had locked out 1 and 2 again, but they've been beaten very quickly at the last minute. Salvatore Sirignano for third, again, another good qualifying performance. Can he convert that into a race finish before the season's end? Fourth place, Ronan Griffin, back up into good form, scored points on a line-beating finish against Owen Potter in his Jordan. Literal nothing. Thousandths of a second between the two. Then we have Alexis Borden for Benetton, back into good form as well. A good point-scoring qualifying position. But Agatino Baivona, uncharacteristically slow today in qualifying, but we know how he charges in the race. Seventh, Tina Curtis for McLaren. Not a great latter half of the season, but a bunch of third place finishes over the course of the championship, so that might be enough to keep her on retainer for the next upcoming season. Then we have Owen Potter, an uncharacteristically low qualifying position for him, down in 8th. And then, last but not least, Nick Holliday for McLaren Mercedes, who has struggled greatly with the chassis, and it's not coming together. But hopefully next season we'll have better things for him over the horizon. So what do you think is going to be the order of the day at the end of this race, Jacob?
I'll be honest, if I was a betting man, Lewis Redding, we've seen him every single season, really, every meeting, he's up there. And I'm not sure there's really anyone who can challenge him, but there's a lot of other drivers who are kind of best to the rest. They're all very, very close, so really what we're watching for is P2, P3, who can sit beneath Lewis on the podium as he kind of holds his hands on their shoulders.
I suppose that's a fair assumption. That's a safe man's bet. But I'd like to take the parlay on Karel Oosterlek and Salvatore Sirignano. Salvatore and Karel Oosterlek were at one point leading the Grand Prix in Estoril, but they were unfortunately taken out or Karel wasn't unfortunately taken out. Salvatore had gotten a slow puncture while he was finishing his stint. I don't think he'll make such a mistake again, as we all get set to go here in Suzuka. I think we have one more car to hit up the grid. There is Nick Holliday taking his time.
It's going to be Lewis's responsibility just to keep it clean, really. I think if he keeps his nose clean, then
he's already done more than enough for his Benetton crew. So now this is just to cap off with good memories and a win. As the lights are ticking down, and we are away for the beginning of the Japanese Grand Prix, and we have Karel Oosterlek fast off the line, a 10th between the two. And it's Karel Oosterlek with an amazing start for Jordan, and he is leading, and he is pulling a second already as he moves away. He must be on a low fuel and soft compound set. Look at that.
Wow.
Look at that. What a start. What a start. He's already gone. Bivona moving up quickly, charged up through the pack, through his 6th place start, already hounding Lewis Wedding. So Lewis Wedding isn't the fastest man today.
I'll be honest, I did not expect that. You've quite literally eaten my words there. That is phenomenal. 2.5 seconds in the space of a sector. It's not something you see, especially not against Lewis.
And already, Bivona having a look on the outside line. He's got the dirty side of the track, so that won't give him enough traction to combat for P2, but he is tucked up under the rear wing of the Australian, and he's going to probably go for it not into, God forbid, 130R.
I don't know what's going on with Lewis, really. I don't know if maybe he's kind of focusing on the end of the race. Like, I didn't catch which compound he's on. Bivona's not the most aggressive of drivers from what I've seen from when I raced against him. So I'm guessing we'll have a nice kind of clean battle between these two if it comes to it.
Indeed, as they go through the Casio triangle to start it all over again for the second time in a row here at Suzuka. Under the rear wing of Lewis, kicking up the dirty air. That is Karel Oosterlek with the fastest lap of the race, 148 dead, and 148 dead indeed, and into first corner. Look at how close Bivona is all over Lewis Wedding with no remorse. He is going for it. Meanwhile, down through the field, we've got Ronan Griffin, P4 for Williams. That's a good start for the Irishman. He always finds P4 somehow. Owen Potter, a great start. I think he was P7 at the grid, and he is now P5 side by side going towards Degna 1 and 2 with Tina Curtis. And it's going to, one of them has to back out. It's Tina Curtis that backs out smartly. Nick Holliday, P7. Look at Salvatore Sirignano, how he dropped from P3 on the grid to last. That is something else. The McLarens are out to play today as they look up the hairpin, a lock up from Tina Curtis, and she might get it done. She might have the purchase on the Jordan. They're quite equal in horsepower, and it looks like she'll have a go into Spoon Curve. Let's see. T-cam view, no room there quite yet. Let's go back to the battle with Bivona and Wedding. Nothing happening there yet. Look at how Karol Ostrolek has just said goodbye to this group.
It really is mental, and I mean, as much as I say Bavona's not the most aggressive of drivers, he's definitely motivated to say one thing. He knows he's quick, he knows what he wants to do, and he does want to prove himself. If I'm not mistaken, he has won, and he's going to want to continue winning, especially against a high calibre of driver like Lewis Redding. So I do think we're going to see a good battle there. Owen Potter, fantastic from him to see that, just chopping through the field first few laps. Owen's normally quite a sensible driver, and not to say he's not been sensible, but he's definitely put his foot down and got on with it.
Now the McLarens have a situation here. Are they going to work together to keep the Ferrari back, or are they going to push on and try to attack the Jordan? Because it looks like Nick Holliday is in okay form today, despite car troubles. Meanwhile, the battle between Benetton and Ferrari rages on for the podium as Bivona makes a slight mistake going into Degna 2, getting a bit on the grass, front right tyre, I believe. No issues though, and he continues to plough on. And Ostrolek, almost a corner and a half away from these two, pulling out 3 seconds. He must be on low fuel. He's got to be. He's got to be.
Yeah, I'd be very surprised if he's on equal pegging to Lewis Redding. Then again, a lot of that time was gained on the start. I mean, since the start, they've not been too different in pace. I do think Lewis may have just been, whether that's he's been flustered, he made a bad start, something's in his head, whatever it was. I mean, Ostrolek, he's capitalised on it perfectly. He's done exactly what he has to do, and he's confident, he's happy in the lead. He's not all over the shop, he's just sticking to his lines, he's not making any major mistakes. He is driving as you'd expect and as a winner should be.
Very apt analysis there. I would be in full agreement. As again, Ostrolek setting a fastest lap on his 4th tour of the Suzuka circuit. We had a 48 on his opening drive, then we had a 41, and now we have a 40. Meanwhile,
I mean, he's not going to be slowing down.
Yeah, I don't see it. He's got to be. This is either masterful stuff or there must be some drawback that we're going to see later on. But Karol Ostrolek is driving the pants off that Jordan, and I wouldn't be surprised if they re-signed him. Meanwhile, Bivona still trying to hang with Wedding. I think with the tyre degradation starting to begin, he may not be able to hang with the 3-time world champion. Meanwhile, down the order, Ronan Griffin has gotten into the groove well with his Williams. And following that, look at Owen Potter fighting to keep back Salvatore Cirinano, who has now had enough and charged past the McLarens. So we unfortunately missed a double pass on these two. Actually, Tina is out.
What's happened there?
Tina's had an accident of some sort. We missed it. Unfortunately, I didn't get the replay feature going for this stream tonight. But there must have been some sort of accident, considering how the tires are grained to all hell. So maybe she went off. So
I'll see if I can catch her in the paddock.
Indeed, if we can get some info off of her, that would be great. Borden, 8th, quietly. 7th, Nick Holliday. And now Sirignano attacking the British man, who is now catching up to the Irish man. So that's something else. Lewis Wedding setting the fastest lap of the race. He has begun his own attack. So he must have been on hard tyres as they're coming into their own now. And he is pulling away from the Italian Bivona with a 140.2. So Karol Ostrolek will have a sweat to break because he is now being taken 5/10 down in the first sector. Meanwhile, Owen Potter still holds off the attack from the teammate of Ferrari, and I think that it's over in terms of the constructors' fight for McLaren versus Jordan because they have a car out. Degna 1, Degna 2. Salvatore is stalking the rear of that Jordan.
Yeah, from what I can understand, Matt,
Yep.
Tina's in the garage, not happy at all with the crew. she is not happy with that McLaren whatsoever.
Hand,
Same as Estoril. Oversteery, she's caught a curb through the S's and it's beached the car, and by some means or another she's crashed. I've tried asking, she's not particularly happy. So yeah, not happy scenes down in McLaren. I'm not sure if she's contracted for 99, but no, it doesn't seem to be a happy kind of ceremony down there.
oh my God, is Salvatore really going to go for it at 130R? Nah, that's a
I
wise
wouldn't.
man. That's a wise man. Indeed, McLaren have had the weaker chassis for through 95, 96. That's Wedding with a fastest lap of 139.8. Karol Ostrolek still in the lead. Agostino Bivona still third. Here we go. We're going to see a move going down into the first turn. Side by side, he's going to go for the outside line, and it looks like it's going to be a clean textbook pass. And no, there's defense from Owen Potter, but it's not enough. And it's an excellent clinical pass from Salvatore.
It's what he had to do. He's got the advantage, and he does need to get on with it. He can't be sitting behind the Jordan. No, it's what he had to do there.
Indeed, it is, as the tyres are starting to wear and grain, as we can see on our T-cam view, and there's a little bit of fishtailing there from the Ferrari 310 chassis. Oil runs a little bit wide on Degna too, but it's nothing for him to worry about. Ronan Griffin may need to prepare himself for battle, so we'll catch up with that in a moment. Let's see what's going on with Wedding. Bivona still somewhat hanging with the Australian, but the Australian is getting faster and faster as the gap is coming down another 5/10 since the last lap, as all cars pool through the Spoon curve.
Yeah, whether that's pressure or Wedding's getting on with it or the tyres are coming to, maybe the difference in strategy, whatever that is, we should hopefully see a battle there. I'm not too sure what Ostrolek's like as a driver because I never really battled with him on track. But we'll see kind of how that turns out. That's chopped a lot. That's half a second now.
And yeah, Karol Ostrolek's soft tyre early speed is now being chopped away, as we saw Nick Holiday run wide and give way to P7 for for Borden in the Benetton. So that was an interesting moment. Bivona may be playing this into more intelligent hand, because he is not exactly falling away from these two, but he's maybe being a little bit more reserved than I first observed. I think he might actually be waiting for those two to fight before he makes his own move.
I mean, he's certainly pushing. You can see the way the back steps out there. There's a bit of smoke dashing up off the circuit. That's just driving. Wedding's giving it his all. That car looks absolutely on rails. Bivona also looks good out there. I do think he is pushing. Yeah, hopefully we do see a bit of a fight here. It depends how Ostrolek drives and defends, really.
Indeed, as sparks fly coming down to 130R from Karol Ostrolek's Jordan, and look at the overspeed that Wedding has. He could maybe go for something quite late, and he had a look, told Karol he's there, he told the Polish man he is there, but he is not going to go for it quite early on, as it looks like Bivona is struggling now with the Ferrari. Grass on the tyres. Let's see if we see anything coming into the first turn. He's got the speed, 6th gear, 300 kilometers per hour, but not quite yet, as he bides his time.
I'm still trying to get a grip on that accident that we saw earlier in the race with Tina. It's not really what you want at the beginning of the race, especially on kind of where the championship's almost settled. It's kind of just a little celebration at the end, I suppose you could say, but it's definitely not a good scene down there. What it seems was a puncture was what caused it. Car beached on the curb, rebounded, spun. Got a puncture into the barrier, and it's a no-go after that. She's not very happy. And it would have been nice to see a bit more in the midfield, but I'm not too sure what's going on down there at the minute. Don't know how her teammate is getting on, but yeah, there's Nick. 35 seconds behind. I don't know what's happened there.
And Potter seems to be calling into the pits for a planned pit stop. First planned pit stop of the evening. These three are now all together. No move yet from Lewis Wedding, and we have other issues on track to watch. Is it going to be a move into the Casio Triangle? I wouldn't have done that. We saw in 1989 that does not work well. Salvatore stalking the Williams as sparks fly through 180R. Or 130R, excuse me. And Wedding, oh goodness me, I put the cameraman was asleep at the critical moment. Wedding has taken place, first place at the Japanese Grand Prix as Salvatore Sirignano sets the fastest lap of the race, so he is indeed getting on with it, and Ronan Griffin will have quite a fight on his hands in a few moments. Now, let's see what Bivona does in reaction to this.
If I was Bavona, I'd be getting right in there. There's no chance of sitting behind and kind of hoping that Redding's going to be caught up on, because it's not going to happen. He's going to have to get past Carroll while he's still weak. Sorry. Yeah, I wouldn't be hanging around really. As you can see, big lock up there. He's turning too early. He's going to be pushing hard, but I'd be surprised if I see a move unless he tries to get him in the pit stops.
Indeed, let's try, and indeed, Carroll is pitting, so he definitely was on the soft compound. That explains quite a lot. I think low fuel, soft compound, Eddie Irvine-esque strategy early here today in the Grand Prix. And it did play into his hands quite well. I think Wedding will have to pit only a lap or two later, and if he can continue that kind of pace, he can undercut him and possibly do the same again for his second stop of the evening and win this Grand Prix for Jordan, which would be amazing for Eddie Irvine and his crew.
It's a shame about the timing, really, because we could have seen a good battle there between himself, Bavona, and Wedding, but that's how it goes.
And Salvatore, or Ronan Griffin, just about escapes the clutches of a charging Sirignano with excellent in-laps. Now, the stop seems good. It seems quick. Now we'll have a battle between Carroll and Sirignano. If Sirignano can catch him quickly enough out of the pits, he doesn't have much to close back in. Roughly 7 to 8 seconds. Meanwhile, in the top spot, Lewis Wedding, not too far away from Bivona. Griffin in third now, calling into the pits for the Williams mechanics to do the tyre change and refuel. He's had a quiet race, but managed to snake his way up to third, at least for the time being.
It's in Ronan's nature, really. He's always been a sensible driver. But he'll be in contention, I think, certainly for the podium. The top guys, they're going to be battling, they're going to be chopping and changing. I think Ronan's quite focused on his own race. So yeah, I've got faith that he's going to just continue to bang in laps for the remainder of the Grand Prix, and we'll see where he ends up at the end of it.
Indeed, that is correct. So let's see now how the pit cycle goes. Wedding not yet into the pits. Bivona getting every inch of that rubber put to use. Wedding now definitely must be coming in, because that is a fast in lap and he's pushing to continue this gap. Griffin now in the pits. Let's see, where is fourth and fifth? Carroll and Salvatore. There's Carroll. Griffin might get out before Salvatore. And he will get out, and there's a car following him. It's Borden. Maybe Salvatore had a mistake?
I didn't catch that.
Salvatore is strangely slow. And Borden is not on fresh rubber either. That is a worn tyre compared to the smoothness and slickness of the potentially hard compound, I think hard compound, of Salvatore's Ferrari. So we'll see how that develops. I think Salvatore could have a problem, and Ferrari are known for having heartbreaking problems. Meanwhile, up the field, we're going to see a pit stop battle between these two crews, Ferrari and Benetton, as through 130R, Wedding goes yet another time for the Casio triangle, clinically hitting his marks. Dives into the pits, 10 and 2, unique steering wheel style there for the Australian. Into the pits, pit limiter on, up on the jacks, clean, hold the... oh wow, that is a close entry from the Italian. This is going to be interesting. Let's watch. Who's faster, who's quicker, who's smarter. And it's just barely Bivona missing out on taking the win, or taking the lead, not the win.
Where's Carroll?
I don't know. He's not there yet.
No, he's not done it. No chance.
They're three together again, but it's not going to be enough for Carroll to attack. Wedding is slow coming through into the Senna S's, and even Bivona thinks it's worth a try. He's going for it.
You got right on him there. That was proper nose to tail. If these two get into a good part of the track where they can battle, that's not the S's, Bivona. Then maybe we could see Carroll get involved as well, because he's got no reason to slow down. He's got a clear road in front of him. Bivona's looking.
They're all on fresh rubbers! Wedding makes a mistake! Cuts him off! Slams that door! And now Carroll is right there to knock on Bivona's door.
Yeah, Bivona, that was no place to attempt to move. There was a mistake, but it's just you've got no defence, you've got no leverage. You should have waited until the spoon there. But
this is the essence of Formula 1. P1, P2, P3, all different constructors, all different chassis, all different aero, all different engines, all different drivers. None of that spec stuff, dominating stuff that we are used to. Wedding earns his drivers' championships. And now we might see something at 130R. Not quite yet. Carroll is seemingly hanging back to watch these two go for it.
He's going to have to try soon if he doesn't want Wedding to run away with it, and he does.
Oh my goodness! That is excellent! He might have to hand that back. That was a little bit illegal as he had to cut the triangle, and he does hand it back.
Doesn't hand it back correctly, really. I would have held him back for a couple of corners, because off of sheer pace, I don't think Bivona can really touch Wedding, but that was a great move if he just kept his foot on the brake and pressed it down a little bit earlier. But I mean, wow, that was definitely good, but it was right to turn it back because it was certainly illegal. He tries again. It's just not here. You can't do it here.
Patience, boy, patience. Bivona is indeed the youngest driver on the grid at the ripe young age, I think 18, 19, side by side into Degna 1 and 2. This guy is all over. He just has to wait. Patience, intelligence, use it.
Around the outside, it's not something I think will work. I'd like if he proves me wrong.
Cut it inside. Cut the nose inside. He touches Wedding. He did hit
It's
Wedding.
Painful.
He hit Wedding in Estoril as well. Like, patience. You need to use.
Maranello's gonna have their heads in their hands watching this one. You just need the sense to be able to.
He needs to use the flow of the track as they touch. It's not there. It's not there. You need patience, boy. Patience.
He could have just used, if he come in a little bit later, used the run. He would have been down the inside by now.
Carroll definitely licking his lips at this, all taking place in front of him. All he needs is just one more tap from Bivona, and they could be both off.
Carroll's got two options: it's step aside and let me show you how it's done, or he's going to hang back and decide not to get involved anywhere near Bivona, because the kind of moves he's attempting right now, it's just, I understand in the heat of the moment he's got that kind of haze, that red mist, but you just need an ounce of sensibility, really, if that is a word.
It is indeed a word, and he's going to be killing his tyres all the while. However, I wonder, will this help out his teammate? They are certainly slowing down due to the battle, and Salvatore is struggling to get by the Williams. The Williams is not an easy car to pass. It is one of the most technologically advanced cars for quite a few years now. Unfortunately, no titles in VFU for the Williams team. I think Wedding left the team before. Oh, and that is Bivona getting it done in the hairpin. He finally listened to our advice. We will have to cut away from Ronan and Salvatore, unfortunately. But look how clinically Wedding will probably plan a repass. It seems like he got on the grass, as we can see his tyres. But now I think Karol Ostrolek is going to leap into action, because Wedding is a harder driver to pass than Bivona, I would argue, as Bivona weaves in the straights, trying to take away any slipstream possible before 30R.
I think Wedding's definitely the more seasoned driver of the trio here, as he tries it around the outside. I'm not sure how that's going to go. Maybe
Look, watch, his line is perfect. His line is excellent. That's the kind of mature driver you have to win championships. And this is going to be enough for him to out-drag and get to the first turn before Bivona has a chance to attack again. That's the kind of play that you need if you want to win championships. Look how much easier Wedding made that for himself, as Salvatore and Ronan are waiting in the wings to join this 3-car fight and maybe make it a 5-car fight. So, Karol Ostrolek still waiting for the correct moment to attack.
I hate to say it, but I do think Bavona's going to come off at some stage in this race, the way he's driving, and I do hope he doesn't take anyone with him.
Yeah, it's not a... It's quite bald-headed driving at the moment. He is using every inch of that Ferrari, but Ferrari won't win championships on passion alone, as Bivona locks up again, trying anything to get by Wedding. He's now got the great track position to have a go into the spoon curve, but I don't think he'll have the line. He will not, but he could try it if he gets a good run. I see understeer. I don't think he'll be able to hang with Wedding. Wedding pulls away slightly up through the gears.
You might try and take inspiration from the move that Wedding did on him if he was sensible, but it's difficult. It seems Lewis is a little bit slower in the places where you can overtake and annoyingly fast in the places where you can. Also, I put that the wrong way around, but yeah, no, it's... Bivona does just need to lock in, really, as you could say.
Lewis kicking up the dirty air, throwing away any chance of the slipstream. And look at this, now we have our true Grand Prix on our hands. All this commotion has allowed these two to catch up. And Salvatore is being tested by the Irishman. The Irishman has now decided to pick it up. His quiet race has ended, and he is willing to fight. Through the S's goes the man from Wexford.
So no, I was mistaken. So I've watched the actual video footage of Tina Curtis's spin through the S's, and it was just that. It wasn't a case of curb. It wasn't a case of the car necessarily beaching. It's just the rear end decided it didn't want to grip anymore, and she had nowhere to go. Bit of a almost like lift off understeer, really. It's difficult, really. It's just the car didn't want to grip, and she got spat out, spun, went into the wall, and it's race over. It is heartbreaking. I wouldn't say there's nothing or anything that the driver can really do in that situation. You're just a passenger. It's almost like she hit a puddle that didn't exist.
Now we're seeing something very interesting. Wedding is going to do the same magician's work. He does do a dummy. He throws a dummy on Bivona, and even Ostrolek has a chance on the inside. It's excellently smart driving from Lewis Wedding. The dummy did not work, but look at that in the distance. Is that a McLaren? It is a McLaren. And we have Wedding. Yes! Inside line. Look at them. They touch. They touch.
This is what Grand Prix racing is all about, but it's got the etiquette of touring car racing, really. Just the way they're constantly going at it every lap, you're really just biting your nails watching this.
The traffic is going to change everything here. It depends on now how Nick Holliday negotiates the situation. There isn't a lot of room here to do so. Maybe he'll let go at the hairpin, but he won't be able to give all three cars the room. Karel Osterlek is really playing smart. I would be doing exactly what Karel is doing and waiting. And Nick is holding up the three-time world champion. Unfortunately, it's not by his fault. There's just no room to let people go. Nick is looking for a place to let these guys by. And look, oh my god, Lewis must be furious as Nick goes well wide to let all three pass, but they are definitely bunched to all hell because of that. And now Griffin, who's managed to get a little bit of a gap to Salvatore, will have to deal with that in a few moments.
Nick really did have the weight of the world on his shoulders there. Just everyone's watching, big battle, and he had the opportunity to make or break it. Luckily, he didn't mess it up too badly. He got out of the way where he had to. You could see just in the language of his car. That was quite funny.
And now as we are on board with the Polish man for yet another lap into the first curve towards the Senna S's. These three have a little bit accordioned with each other. It's getting a bit separated due to lapping. And now Griffin might have issue because we're going to that awkward Degna 1, Degna 2 section where there is no real room to get a pass on. And it is going to be horrible for the Irishman, and that's a massive hold-up that will play right into Salvatore's hands. And look at the space that he eats up. Holiday has no room. And look at that, he's just absolutely destroying the Irishman's gap. And this is perfect for Ferrari. Perfect for Salvatore. And he's going to have a go, I assume. He's going to have a cut-off Griffin, perhaps before his stop.
I mean, there really is no perfect place to let somebody past, but I mean, you do need to have a bit of sense. It's not a non-track battle. It's not particularly close towards where he is in the field. He does just need to give it up, hang back. There are places where you can do it. The track is wide enough.
And now through 130R, they go. Nothing between these two. I don't think that's a planned pit stop for Salvatore. I think that may just be a mistake radio communication. I don't think he'll come in. He is coming in. Is this either masterful strategy or do we have a problem? There is Karel, so it is strategy. These two are looking to play the undercut. Now let's see who gets out first. Karel, with no issues. Is it a quick stop for Salvatore? It is not. It is not particularly fast. It's not particularly slow either. Let's see what's going on up the field. And somehow, some way, Ronan Griffin is in third with a pit stop to go. So he is definitely planning to strategically snake his way up into a great finish without actually having to fight anyone.
I mean, hindsight's a wonderful thing, but if I was on that Ferrari pit wall, I'd have brought in Salvatore a lap earlier before they encountered that traffic. But Ryan's doing his best. He'll see if he can hold him back. Again, time will tell.
Time will tell indeed, my friend. But now we have to see what is going to happen between these two, because they have not yet dared to pit, and the longer they leave it go, the less time they're going to have, because we know how effective the soft tire is in the opening laps of a stint. I think we'll see Wedding at least come in the next two laps. I wouldn't think they would leave it very late. Unless they are both on hards, they could be trying to go to the end, but the gap can close very quickly if the others are on low fuel and soft tires for the ending laps of the Grand Prix. Let's check the lap count quickly. 19 out of 26 laps. And yes, indeed, Bivona is coming in. There'll be 6 laps to go at the end of this lap. So if Wedding tries to pull it out, which I think he definitely has the pace and skill to do so, we will have a thriller of a finish, because we will have Karel Ostrolek, who now is racing Griffin out of the pits. No, okay, it was a clinical procedure there. There was no real chance for Griffin, unfortunately, but he is out of the pits with no issue. Salvatore is stopping with an engine failure!
Oh no. You called it. You certainly called it. Ferrari's just heartbreak, isn't it?
Heartbreak after heartbreak. That is the first engine failure for Ferrari since Albert Park. Matthew Sibignoni blowing up, embroiled in a battle with Karel Ostrolek. So, a blow up at the beginning of the season for the second Ferrari car, and a blow up at the end of the season for the second Ferrari car. And that is going to sneak Alexis Borden into 6th place while she fights Owen Potter for 5th. So this is a developing story with 6 laps to go in the Grand Prix. Meanwhile, Bivona has a drive-through penalty. It always comes apart for Ferrari late in the race, and it always happens to both all at once.
Oh, it's no good, it's no good. I mean, I hate to play devil's advocate. I did think Salvatore took a long time to get out of that car. I wasn't so sure if he was trying to get a safety car or if he was just purely just frustrated. But no, drive-through penalty, and it's not great for the race and that really. I think it may tone things down. He's not going to be particularly happy. He will get involved with Ronan, I'd imagine. But now it's just down to Karel Ostrolek to try and contest Lewis for the win.
And what a very interesting to note, when a penalty is given, such as a drive-through penalty, on track by the race directors, all drivers are notified who got the penalty and the nature of the penalty. So if Karel Ostrolek is an intelligent man, and I think he is from the way he's hung back and not tried to challenge Lewis Wedding, or Bivona, as they were practically banging wheels for first place, he will just wait and take the position on a silver platter.
Yep, absolutely.
And
It's like a fast-paced game of chess, isn't it?
And Lewis Wedding, indeed it is. And Lewis Wedding is just going to use this to take his last stop of the race. 5 or 6 laps to go. I think it's going to be 5 at the end of this lap. And he's just going to relax. He's not going to worry about any damn thing, because Karel Ostrolek is too far away. Actually, he has not pitted, not yet. His tyres don't seem that worn to me, if we can zoom the onboard camera. They are actually quite worn, but I don't know how much. That seems a little only grained for me. No, he's pressed the radio on his steering wheel button to come in, so he is definitely coming in as he makes a mistake.
Yeah, that's not what you want to do, but he's got away with it.
And there it is, Bivona with the race-destroying drive-through penalty.
It's a sad sight. It certainly is. It can't really go right for him, can it? It's in law almost. But we'll see how he gets on for the rest of it. He may have a battle with Ronan if he pulls his finger out. Depends how the pit stop goes.
Now
if they've got another one left.
He has fresh tyres and fuel for the last couple of laps of the race, so he could maybe try and go after second place again, but it'll still not change the fact that he lost the chance to win this race on several occasions. Now, we have Wedding, who needs to come in, and depending on how clinically he gets this stop done, we either have a Polish man who wins the race, or we have an Australian man win this race. And as we know, when Bivona finishes second, Griffin finishes 4th. Borden is nowhere to be seen for the Canadian woman to catch up to Ronan Griffin. Owen Potter not that far away, and we might see a late race move. We cannot watch this story develop because there are more pressing matters to address, as Wedding is now in the pits, on the jacks, ready to go. Engine revving, keeping it from stalling, pit limiter on, tires smoking, down the lane, no issues, perfect, clinical, smart. That's how you win championships.
Absolutely, yeah, and I'd be very surprised if anyone lays a finger on him now. It's his responsibility. As I said, keep it clean, keep his nose clean, and he should, by no doubt really, win this race. But we've seen crazier things happen so far today, so we can only really watch.
About half a sector between Wedding and Karel Oosterlek. So Karel Oosterlek can either give us the most magical possible drive in a Jordan, as we look through the sky cam to try and keep track of both and see how this situation might develop. They're too far away for us to track here normally, so we'll have to go back to them on the TV cameras. There is Wedding. Actually, Bivona could pull off the greatest recovery in Formula One history at VFU if he can somehow get past Karel Oosterlek and chase the Australian as they're side by side going towards the spoon curve inside line. He has the ideal place for the pass to get done, and he does get it done. No, Karel Oosterlek has the outside line still. There's no wheels touching, and it's an amazing pass from the Italian, who says, I'm not done yet. 7 seconds is nothing to me. I'm going for first.
That is how you do it, and it seems just a sudden wave of maturity, really. That is the way you should do it through that corner, rather than poking your nose in elsewhere. No, that was good. That's how you should do it.
That's how the job should be done. And now Karel, seemingly, for a driver who's been able to hang with these top two all race long, has somehow lost the pace of the Peugeot engine, which is unfortunate. But still, it's a Jordan on third. But we have Williams. We have a better chassis, a better engine, and a calm driver who could finish third if he knows how to get by Karel Oosterlek.
I'll be honest, Williams, they do need a driver like Karel Oosterlek, really. Ronan should be up there, as should others, really. But no, he's definitely making the most out of that car, and he can be very proud of a podium, if not more.
Alexis Spirichev is definitely sorely missed at a race like this, because I think it would be 4-car fighting all the way through. Now, 6 seconds remain between Wedding and Bivona, but I don't think there's enough time. There's 3 laps to go. And I don't know if Bivona can drive fast enough, because all Wedding needs to do is flick the switch on qualifying laps, and we know he can do that.
Yeah, Wedding just needs to keep up the pace, keep it moving. I mean, when you've got Bivona behind him, and especially from so far this evening, from Lewis' perspective, he's not going to want to be any closer to Bivona than 6 seconds away. If he lets that gap drop too much, you never know what Bavona's going to do if he's going to try and launch one up the inside, especially from Lewis's perspective.
And Karel is dropping back thick and fast. Griffin is going to have a chance for a podium here to sort out his string of non-finishes if he just keeps driving how he's driving, smooth and mature and clinical. As we already discussed, Bivona is the youngest man on this asphalt in Japan. Everyone else here is 20 plus, 30 plus. That's the usual kind of driving age for Formula One drivers at this level. He is the first of a new era of maybe bringing in the young talent very early out of the feeder series at the kind of 17 to 19. I'm not quite sure exactly how old he is, but he is the youngest man on track, and maybe he can use that youth to his advantage. But he's only chipping away at the gap. You can't close in. That's the mistakes that lose you Grand Prix, running wide there like that on the spoon curve and getting onto the fake turf. You can't close 6 seconds if you're driving that wild.
He's certainly motivated, but and driving properly necessarily doesn't coincide with that.
Yeah.
You can tell that he's trying his hardest out there, and you can tell he's got pace, but I don't know if it's a case of self-doubt.
And
Maybe
there it
he
is.
wants
That
to take.
like Wedding just answers that effortlessly. Like as you said, motivation and passionate driving won't win championships. It'll be robotic and almost clinical. Like I would say, um, there is a discussion at VFU in terms of the future of rolling back to 1993. The the um, the Williams, the active suspension Williams, as as difficult as demanding that car is to drive, it is absolutely perfect for the likes of someone like Lewis Wedding to command.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I think more speaking about this race, I think Bavona, he's definitely made it interesting for us, certainly, but he's not been helpful to himself. He's not been helpful to his team. He navigated Nick Holiday as he should have there. Not exactly something that needs praise, but we can acknowledge it.
Oh,
But
and
yeah,
he
it's
kicks
stuff
out
like
the
that.
tail, and we've had
Nick Holiday.
re-
Did he keep out of the wall?
rejoin safely, rejoin safely.
Dearie me, not
Oh dear,
anymore.
oh dear, he just barely avoids collision with
I
Ronan
thought he did
Griffin.
hit it. It's not what you want to do at all, really, but I don't think it's harmed his race. The McLaren engineers won't be particularly happy about that, but
And there again, another fastest lap for Lewis Wedding. He's just playing with toys at this point. I'm going to be very, very, very shocked to see him move to BAR, and that's the end of the race actually. So Karel Austerlitz holds on for a podium. Griffin finishes fourth. Like I said, as I've prophesied all season long, whereby Vona finishes second, Griffin will finish fourth.
that really was a great evening of racing there. Lewis, he really wasn't as quick as I expected him to be, but he was, as we did expect, he was consistent. He was sensible. And this is what you need to be.
He beat,
And his teammate Baldwin in P4.
yeah, he beat Bivona with experience and maturity.
Yeah, absolutely. It would have been. Sorry, it would have been a lot harder to guess had Pavona just been careful, and he shows himself down the inside there. A bit of respect after the checkered flag rather than before it. But yeah, it could have been very different, but it was definitely exciting, and we didn't really know at times whether both of them would finish because it was very aggressive driving, almost as bad as what you'd have seen with me on track. But in the end of it, I don't think we were short of entertainment, and that is what Grand Prix racing is all about. So I'm glad we did one to watch.
I don't know if this would go down as a classic, but it would definitely be a memorable Grand Prix. I think if Bivona could do some last lap magic, or Carroll, it would go down as a classic in the archives of Formula One history. Unfortunately, we won't see the donut spinning ceremony from Lewis as the server rolls on over, and that concludes our Japanese Grand Prix from the sunny hills of Suzuka. And it has been a pleasure to commentate such a race. So, any closing thoughts?
Um, well, I mean, we weren't going into the race with much expectation, but we knew obviously you put a bunch of fast drivers onto a grid, put them in various cars, and they're going to produce something. Um, that was definitely something. It was good. And we'll see how it goes next season. If, as you said, Lewis going to a different team, be something to see, something to watch. Yeah, definitely. It's going to make sure that people stay tuned into the BBC for 1999. And yeah, we'll see how that goes, I suppose, next season.
So, another year of competition closes, and the dominance of Australia continues as Lewis Wedding continues to write another chapter into his legend. I've been Matthew Sibignoni. Jacob has been, of course, Jacob Metcalf. And thank you very much for watching the Fuji Television Japanese Grand Prix. Good night.